All right, well, here we are. Welcome to Sonic Blur, the opening of the festival year-end show at the Angewandte, the University of Applied Arts here or there in Vienna. It's been an absolutely amazing year. This year is for everyone around the world, as we all know. And I think it's been kind of interesting, very interesting for us in this situation, both as architects, of course, practicing and working in the field, but also as a teacher, as professors, and as trying to figure out how to work around the situation with our pedagogy and with our ideas, but particularly for students. I think learning has been probably the most dramatic and enlightening thing that we've sort of experienced through this whole COVID experience. And on the learning side and on the teaching side, I think there are two very important things that came out of COVID that we should probably take note of and hopefully hold on to as we go forward into the so-called new normal, which hopefully is around the corner. And that is, on the one hand, I think we learned an immense amount about the planet Earth. I think we learned a lot about the environment, how important it is to all of us, of course, and to all the living things on this planet. I think by that I mean that we just sort of, I think, became all incredibly aware of what it means to not fly so much, what it means to not be wasteful, what it means to think and to meditate on one's domestic space. And so on. And I think that's had a major socio-political ramifications around the world that have been really quite important. And the upside of that, I think we need to hold on to and think about very much in the work we do as architects and theorists and master planners and designers. The other thing that's been really important, and I think extremely important, has been the education we've all had in the power of collaboration and the power of invention. I think learning to collaborate again, almost as like baby steps, being online all the time, being in this situation of working remotely in different time zones, and figuring out how important collaboration is. And I think for us, as a group here at the Angewandte, for my studio, and I think for all the studios, we've really learned an immense amount about the power of collaboration. And also going along with that is the power of invention. I think we've collectively we've awakened to the power of invention in our discipline, to rethinking things from the ground up, to making the best of situations. I mean, if we can't build in large labs physical models, what do we do? We start building in other spaces. The human temperament, the human condition is fascinating that way. We shape shift, we adjust, I think, and I believe, always come up on the upside of any downside. But again, that's an optimistic view, but it is my view. And I think this studio, my particular studio, but I think the collaboration with the other studios and the students across the school, I think that's what this Sonic Blur exhibition and Sonic Blur event is all about. It's about the absolute magic of invention, the ability to look at things from a different point of view, and the ability to collaborate. And I think that's really been proven in spades by this group. What we've done today is we have this virtual, Zoom-based opening, where we're all here in this Zoom space, having a great time, I hope, as we would in a physical space, as best we can. But also at the same time, we've the students in my studio under the watchful eye of my fantastic co-professors, created an installation piece in the school, a large-scale video augmented reality / virtual reality installation piece, which if you are in Vienna and if you're not at the actual space, it's there behind Raphael's interface. There you go. That's the Vanna White moment for you there, Raphael. And And then, I encourage you to come upstairs to the third floor. I believe we're on the third floor. It's been a while. And first floor, sorry. And take a look at the installation and experience it. And it's an installation that both is immersive and quite powerful, quite interesting in a kind of visceral way, but also you can wear headsets and go deep into the work that all the students across the entire Institute of Architecture have produced, and in incredible detail. And one of the things that's really come out of this experience, and what you'll see in this installation when you have a chance to spend time in it, is that you can go really quite far and quite deep into people's ideas and works and drawings and models, much as you would in real space, but in a very different kind of dynamic where you're able to spend time and focus and zoom in and zoom out and so on. So I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to let Raphael and Sarah, who were the two primary designers of the virtual reality environment and co-designers and worked on the physical space with other students who are also on the call here. Emma, Simone, I can't remember all of you that worked on it, and other students from other studios. And yeah, at that, I'd like Raphael and Sarah to take us through the virtual opening or the virtual site. And one caveat there, one note is that they'll be doing a sort of broad, broad kind of description of what's going on, but to get into this and to see it later, there'll be sound recordings from the students that are on sound sensors in the virtual space that will describe their work. Some of the students will be sticking around and able to describe their work if you want to go into those spaces and talk to them more. But this is a kind of overview. And yeah, I think it's pretty fascinating. Hopefully it goes without a glitch, but glitches are also something we've learned about this year. So let's go. Hey, Thomas, nice to see you.
Okay, thanks, Hani. Okay. The project that we've been working on for the past semester for the Institute of Architecture's exhibition is, as Hani mentioned before, a mixed media installation that very much aims to put the human interconnectivity at the heart of curatorial programs. And so in this sense, the project is a critique of many exhibitions that we see nowadays, which aim to incorporate digital representation methods in physical exhibitions. However, often the outcome of these approaches results again in an experience which isolates users to individual viewing experiences. And in that way, particularly in times like these, with countless Zoom calls and home office, the need for genuine social interactions of any form is greater than ever. And so therefore, Social Blur started off and aims now to achieve this reinforced social experience through a fluid interdependence of virtual reality spaces, as well as the physical installation that you can see behind us. And so the virtual side of the project, which exhibits the Institute's work of the past year, of all the Institute studios, as well as the departments and the research projects, takes advantage of an open source virtual reality platform, which is free and accessible globally, and needs nothing more than a simple PC, a phone, or virtual reality glasses for people to join. But the most important and significant aspect of the medium that we chose for this is that viewers actually exist and take up space in a sort of physical simulation with the help of an avatar. And so this means that people can actually see, talk, and view the exhibition together. And so in that way, events, tours, and parties suddenly have a much greater possibility in this way, as people are no longer tied to a two-dimensional representation, but can actually create genuine and spontaneous social interactions in these virtual spaces that we've created. And then the spatial experience of the virtual project was also the starting point for the physical installation behind us. And so this mixed media installation doesn't only translate the aesthetics and the atmospheric and architectural qualities of the virtual, but it acts as a portal which continuously allows glimpses into the virtual environment. And so in this way, it blurs the lines between the two sides of the project, allowing for a more fluid, almost codependent relationship of virtual and physical exhibition spaces.
So in terms of the concept and how we kind of came up with the space and what drove the design, we started off by thinking about how to explore sensory stimulation at the interface of this virtual and physical kind of spheres. So we wanted to craft an authentic experience at the meeting point of these two realms. And then in terms of the actual kind of aesthetics of the space, when we were designing it, we were kind of thinking about all the regular spaces that usually have like the geometric manifestations of them. They are the sole communicators of the space itself. So we wanted to kind of distance ourselves a little bit from that and kind of do the opposite. So instead, we wanted to abstract the geometry itself and compress it as much as possible and break it down to its bare minimum so that this kind of set choreography of different elements that we put together could kind of take center stage and be the main focus while they're blending and they're being kind of like empowered by this abstracted binary almost environment. In terms of the actual VR space, when you walk through it, you will realize that it morphs in proportion all the time. Because of the medium that we used, the space itself has this quality of weightlessness and of there's no sense of scale. So it was an interesting kind of experiment for us to kind of get a sense of how to have a grip on scale in this kind of environment. Then the actual aggregation itself that you would walk through, it's always shifting because of the way we've designed it in this kind of binary way. It's always your movement is kind of the space itself is almost responsive to your movement as you kind of walk through. The space is always shifting as you advance, and there's always this kind of temporal ambiguity that you always feel inside the space because of the fact that when we've designed it, we wanted to have the space kind of reveal itself to you as you get deeper and deeper into it. So as you walk through, you discover new areas that you wouldn't necessarily be able to see. So just this kind of visual play on spatial kind of spatial perception and just depth. Then in terms of the actual material use with this whole concept of presence and stimulating a stimulating environment and having this kind of interconnectivity between people, the link between the VR space and the actual physical one that we've built, that kind of connection in terms of this notion of presence that we also try to explore for the physical side gets manifested a bit differently. So for the physical side, if you can see it behind, the foils are in themselves transparent. So with that, the layering that we've kind of created with that, it stimulates this notion of presence that in the VR space, it's a literal translation, but in a different form. So that's the kind of link between the two, this kind of transparency and this notion of layering and this lost kind of interconnectivity that we tried to bring back in a sensorial way. Yeah, so I mean, with moving forward, we could start going through the actual spaces and you can have a look for yourself and hopefully see how this was all developed and to really have a good look at the students' work who contributed for creating the space. And yeah, I think we can move on to the hub space now.
Okay, so we're gonna try to kind of achieve a couple things all at once now. And let me just quickly share my other screen. So I mean, we're gonna try to, in a way, blend a showcasing of the actual project as well as a quick tutorial on how to navigate and how to actually use the virtual reality platform, as well as the students from Studio Hani Rashid who are exhibited for the hub space of the studio will be giving brief descriptions of their projects. Sorry?
Your mic is like a little...
That's it?
Okay, let's go.
So the whole project can be accessed through a central website, which will be going live right after this presentation. And so this interface is kind of the entrance to a variety of different hub spaces. So as we mentioned, of course, Sonic Blur functions as a showcasing of the work of all the different studios at the Institute, as well as the departments and research. And so when entering the website, people can actually browse through the studios, at which point you have brief descriptions of navigations inside the virtual reality spaces, as well as a kind of almost traditional architectural floor plan showing the navigation through these spaces, as well as the projects and students who are featured. And so we're going to go through the hub space of Studio Hani Rashid now. And so when entering, again, the platform that we used for this whole project is open source, and in that way can be accessed by anyone without an account. It's completely free, and in that way has quite great potential for these kind of completely democratized art exhibitions. And so when entering the hub space, of course, the first thing you see is this seemingly endless striated landscape. And the way that people can move through this space is simply with the WASD keys, and then with a mouse you can look around. And so the whole exhibition in a way plays on this contrast between these completely abstracted, as Sarah explained before, completely abstracted atmospheres, and playing with architectural scale, but then within this abstraction there are then these smaller nooks which create more traditional exhibition spaces. And so moving through the introduction of the studio, you then slowly start seeing the actual student work. And so we're now going into the exhibition space of Dennis, who did his diploma last semester, and he's actually in the space now. You can again here see the way that the avatars of other people who are in the same space can be seen, and you can actually talk about the work, see each other, and in that way kind of share the experience. And so I'm going to stop sharing now because Dennis is actually
no, you can share. You can continue sharing.
Yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, I would just, so hello everyone, my name is Dennis, and I would like to briefly present my work, which is presented in our first virtual room. So in my project, I was trying to investigate problematic places in urban environment and finding the way to improve them. So my project is proposing the way of dealing with traffic junctions to increase their efficiency, occupy previously unused land around them, and reintegrate those areas into urban environment under the new paradigm of self-driving cars. So this design proposes how this concept and approach can be encapsulated within an architectural framework that is based on methodology outlined in metabolistic theories and practices. So in front of you, you can see the animation, which is showing the layer by layer appearance of the project on the site. This approach is not consistent and not applicable only for one place, but can be copy-pasted from different cities and even different countries. And you can see on sites how it improves and enhances the environment for the neighborhood and makes the living much more pleasant for that area. Also on the sides of this room, you can see the different renderings which are representing the space itself, and also you can have a look on the 3D model and investigate the different sides of my project. And on this stage, I would like to invite you to follow to the next room of our exhibition.
Great, thanks. So we are going to move on now to the next one. In each of the studio exhibition spaces, 3 projects have been chosen by the studios and are showcasing the work. And so now the second one for Studio Hani Rashid is MoMAs. And so I think Emma should be, yeah, you can see Emma. I should give it over to you.
So, hi, my name is Jade, and Sonic Blur is exhibiting. The project is a medicinal plant sanctuary for a pharmaceutical future of Ayurveda and Western medicine combined. The intent was to create an ambassadorial complex where medicine is grown, researched, and distributed to the local community to restore a historic culture of pharmacognosy within an urban fabric. So it takes place within Bangladesh. So whilst providing a sanctuary for native endangered medicinal plants, which are at risk due to climate change, it also cultivates this community aspect from climate migration. The building also aims to take on an ecologically sustainable approach by reducing construction emissions to a minimum through materiality. So you can see this within the renders here. And also using passive energy techniques that draw from the natural climate. So in doing so, the little amount of energy needed to sustain the building can also be generated on site through energy captive methods. The building materials, so the whole sort of idea of the thesis was that the building materials are traces of climate change and are sourced and fabricated locally, giving the building an essence of belonging and eliminating this aspect of awareness. So I hope this is all portrayed in these three images that are on exhibition. Yes, and so you can kind of come into this exhibition, look around, be the spectator, but also really get involved and interactive with also the 3D models. Yes, so I would like to pass over to Sophie Grell for the closing statement.
All right, I think we're sharing the space, so we only have one mic. But thanks a lot. Yeah, we didn't show the 3D models, right? Do you want to go in?
Yeah, sure.
That, maybe?
Can you, Raphael, maybe it'd be nice to go to the other two studios. Can you take us over there just to look around?
Yeah, sure. I was actually about to go. So at the end of each of the hub spaces, to create a kind of fluid experience in which you can experience all the different works from the different studios. At the end of the loop, the linear path that you take through these spaces, you can always find links. And if you click on these, you move through you can move directly to the other exhibition spaces. And so now, for example, if we move into the exhibition of Studio Greg Lynn, you can see there's quite a kind of seamless transition between these. And in the next couple of days, both Studio 1 and Studio 2 will be putting on virtual tours, the links of which can be found, I think, on all the social media canals that we have, as well as the website. And then, as Hani mentioned before, the other great thing that this medium allows us to do is to actually link in real 3D models, which can be experienced in virtual reality. And so, for example, in this project by Joyce Lee and Tobias Haas, each project has a kind of link wall here towards the back. And here again, by clicking the link, you can move directly into the model. And in that way experience the project in a much different approach, feeling the scale and the other qualities. And yeah, so the website which this whole Sonic Blur project is accessible through will be going live within the next 10 minutes, at which point everyone can kind of explore. And at the same time, of course, the physical installation behind us will be on until the 2nd of July, and we are providing virtual reality experiences in this space also several times a day, mostly from, I think, 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. and then as well as 6 to 8 p.m. So thanks for your attention, and of course, if you have any questions, feel free.
Thank you very much. I think that was fantastic and relatively glitch-free. which is rare these days. Very, very nice work across the board. And it's great actually to be able to go and see this work at Greg Lynn's studio. It's so large and at scale. And I guess you could even go into that model, right, if you wanted to, once it's live. Also, I think, as I said before, I think the great thing about, yeah, see, that's fantastic. Yeah, here we are. The great thing about this medium, I think, and it's something to think about as we go forward, holding on to it, even if we do go back, and we will go back, of course, to actual physical, situations. But I think using this now as a tool, as a supplementary tool to our understanding of how to not only sort of see space and experience architecture, but also how to invent architecture. So it's really terrific. And I encourage any of you out there who have an Oculus headset to actually use it to go here too, because it's even a richer experience and a pretty powerful experience in a fully immersive headset with sound and so on. So thanks a lot. That was a fantastic, trippy sonic blur session we had. And I guess now we pop the champagne and we mingle, right? Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Virtual.
Sorry, you'll be live. This will be live soon, and I think with that we'll be able to maybe bump into each other in the VR space in the next 10 minutes. Anything else from us here now for the moment?
No, Raphael. Yes, Claudia is pasting
in the chat now.
So yeah, please enjoy the show and
join us.
And join the Lynn studio tomorrow at 12 p.m. Join our panel talk tomorrow at 6. And the Studio One tour day after tomorrow on Thursday at 12 p.m. where they will explain their projects in the space.
Directly in Hobbs.
That's it.
That's it.
Dankeschön. See you soon. See you on the other side.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.